I'm Dermot O'Brien from the Adab Trust. We're going to look at a philosophy of youth work today, stuff that works. We live in a global knowledge-based economy, and in our inner cities, in particular our diverse youth, we think is one of our greatest assets. However, assets have to be nurtured. This is clear in business. Canary Wharf from the beginning to what it is today, time and money. If we don't invest in our cities and our people, we also get this. It's quite clear. There's no rocket science involved in that, and likewise there's no rocket science involved in youth work. However, that doesn't mean we shouldn't look for the best resources, the best trainers and the best opportunities for them. And the further they are from the labour market, better those resources need to be. We're going to look at 4 strands. What brings them together? What are the common themes? Scouting, which is Kay Leggett, Vicky Thompson. Professional elite sport, Sean O'Connor. And Dr. Nigel McLennan, a leading author and executive coach. Lord Baden-Powell was born in 1857, and as a soldier during the Boer War he was completely surrounded at the town of Mafeking, totally outgunned. One of his strategies was to use local boys to be his message runners and his intelligence service. This worked very well. This encouraged him to write a little pamphlet, Adventure for Boys, that was very well received back in the United Kingdom. On his return he was encouraged to set up a skills camp at Brownsea Island in Dorset, where he took 20 boys from different backgrounds and brought them all together. This again worked well. Well, did that stand the test of time? I'll leave you to judge. Today there are over 40 million scouts worldwide, 2 million alone in the United Kingdom, and it's only not in 2 territories. In our risk-averse digital environment, we think these sorts of life skills and soft skills are even more important, and there are very few places where a young person can learn these today.
There are 130 young people and leaders in the second East London. We set high standards, we have high expectations, and the young people constantly exceed them. We spend a lot of time gruffalo hunting in Epping Forest. Like all scouts, we camp a lot, including the winter. Skills and team training is a key part of scouting. We take first aid training very seriously. This is how to assess a building for hazards before entering. Learning about EpiPens and how to take a pulse. CPR with a Royal London doctor. We make it as realistic as possible. A visit to the butcher and lots of ketchup. Having fun is essential. Broadening horizons is important to us. 6 countries visited in one summer camp. Giving back to the community is at the heart of the second East London. The young people have collected over 1,500 bags of rubbish from the Isle of Dogs. We help look after the Limehouse Cut Canal. Ben, entirely by himself, raised many thousands of pounds for the Haiti disaster and was suitably recognised for his work. Macy, Janie and George all went on to have medical careers. We are proud and honoured to be part of their journey.
Bookbridge is a project started in Germany 10 years ago on scout exchange with Mongolian scouts. After German scouts ran out all the English books to send to Mongolia from a couple American international schools, they approached UK scouts to help. UK scouts help across all UK, but then Second East London group from London got more involved. Beavers, Cubs and Scouts in Second East London collect English books who they don't need anymore and passed further to the Bookbridge. They love donating. It teaches them lesson. There's not only get in this life, there's a give also, very important, and they grow that way. So for last 10 years, 300,000 maybe and more of the English books are collected here and sent to those countries. There is need for more books. Kids are working quite hard to spread the word, to ask their friends for the books, drop email or to earn their silver or gold award by completing certain international badges, by collecting the books and putting extra efforts. Storage for us in the Bookbridge is one of the biggest challenges. After moving few times in the last few years, Vanguard provided a place for us. They gave us container free of charge, what we are able to use on a daily basis. There is a lots of books at the moment in that container. They're dry, place is safe, and staff at Vanguard is absolutely amazing. So far, for last 10 years, we have 28 libraries open in Mongolia, Cambodia, and Sri Lanka. There is roughly 6,000 to 8,000 books in each library, all of them collected and shipped from UK, led by Second East London Group, and we are very proud of that. It was honor and pleasure to be able to lead this project, to watch kids grow by giving, to take those kids to Mongolia and Cambodia and see them really be very proud of themselves, what they achieved. So I hope the Bookbridge grow. I hope that we have a successful year and we are able in September to ship another 15,000 to those countries, so we can open another 3 libraries. Nowadays we have challenge with shipping. For last few years shipping was free over the company who decided to contribute to the Bookbridge, but this year we need to fundraise around $2,000 to be able to ship full container or 8 to 10 pallets to 2 of those 3 countries.
What was the inspiration for the Adab Trust and 3 exceptional people and their organisations? My interest in the long-term unemployed and youth work came from working for London First, the East London Business Alliance, and the Government Office for London. It was there I met Baroness Stedman Scott. She was running Tomorrow's People, and they were dealing with the difficult end of the unemployment market, but only measured their employment outcomes a year later, and their figures were usually in the 80% bracket, much better than most people. Anna Pangborn from the Newspaper Education Trust, based at Westbury Printers down on the Isle of Dogs. They created a realistic programme for teaching young people how to be journalists. Over 30,000 young people went through that programme. I also met at this time Nigel Hall from London Fire Brigade. At Shadwell Fire Station, he had set up the most extraordinary employer-led youth programme. Unfortunately, at the time, young people were setting nuisance fires in the borough, and this was the Fire Brigade's answer to it, and it completely transformed the situation. I still think it's the best programme I've ever seen 10 years later. I knew from the business membership organisations that employers wanted to recruit a diverse local labour, but something was going wrong. It wasn't happening. Was there something in the workplace or something with the students? I decided to set up an employer-led recruitment process. It contained all the worst elements of every graduate process. It was really tough to get through. But from that I could benchmark the students, and I could draw you all sorts of models about what I found. But what really mattered is the standard of maths and English was not good enough. Employers expected people to be able to punctuate a letter properly. It could make a huge difference to a contract, for instance. And those that did have the right standard of the maths and English often didn't have the soft skills, attitudes and behaviours that were required for corporate life. It's not really their fault if they've not been taught this. Why do so many young people grow up without these basic skills that older generations took for granted? We think health and safety is a big factor on 2 counts. Firstly, in the workplace. It's much harder today to get good work experience under 16. Most people of my generation had part-time jobs or summer jobs long before they left school. We knew what was expected of us and how to behave. Health and safety has also taken out a lot of what I would call adrenaline-based activity, the sort of exciting stuff you might have done after school with teachers. It's now very difficult to do. It's only really the uniformed services that still do this en masse. And perhaps the example below is a little bit too far for most people, though. Sport is clearly a factor. We have sold off many of the playing fields from our inner city schools, and with that we lose clearly large amounts of teamwork, winning and losing and the learning from that. The breakdown of family structures is clearly significant. As ever, it's the children that lose out. While ICT has brought us many benefits, it does allow us to experience things virtually, which really makes us lazy. It also allows us to be sloppy with communication. These are all factors that don't help young people. What can we do to bridge the gap? What do we see across all of these projects? What are these training interventions? We can give a person a fish. Better still, we can give them a fishing rod. Better again is to teach them how to make the fishing rod. And if you're going to do that, you might as well use the best person possible. In business, that concept is clearly understood. You have to invest to get success. Unfortunately for youth work, it's really about funding, and the same applies to education. It's nothing to do with teachers. Employers have a very significant influence. They can teach interview skills. They can give careers advice. They can talk about how their industry works, like nobody else can. It's because that's what they do. Teamwork is absolutely vital. It can be achieved in many different ways. You could be playing in a band or an orchestra. Sport is particularly effective at this because it also teaches resilience when you lose. Scouting, we call it bases teamwork. And we think the greatest secret in youth work is actually the British military. Their ability to teach teams how to perform is extraordinary, particularly young people. I do think it's the best kept secret in youth work. Another key factor is communication skills. Across the globe, public speaking is in the top 3 phobias. How do we help young people master this? Well, to start with, we've got to find their dreams. We've got to help them set goals. And we've got to give them the inspiration and passion to take action. And taking action is as rare as hen's teeth. But above all else, it's a young person's belief. Do they believe they can achieve? And usually, to start with, the trainer has to believe in that young person so strongly that it becomes contagious. If they don't, they'll never take action. And there are plenty of examples of belief across the world, from Henry Ford to Eleanor Roosevelt, and my favourite at the moment is Barack Obama. If you can help a young person understand this, they will take action, and then they stand a chance of succeeding.
My name is Sean O'Connell, and I'm a psychologist and a former professional rugby player, experienced in working in high-performing environments, building effective leaders, teams, and high-performing individuals. The key to enabling people to achieve success within any environment is to be able to produce naturally high performers. But high performance is a subconscious process. It's something that happens, not something that you can force. So the question then becomes, how do you create implicit change within someone to allow them to fulfill their maximal potential? All subjective experience is governed by 5 processes: our senses, perception, cognitions, emotions, and behaviors. And these 5 processes provide a gateway into our internal states which influence our performance. Now, these processes can be deliberately controlled, but estimates suggest that 95% of this is controlled unconsciously. So to create sustainable change within someone, there are 2 key approaches we can leverage in order to address this unconscious processing: a top-down approach and a bottom-up. Nigel will expand on the top-down approach, so I'm going to talk a little bit about how we can leverage some of the key mechanisms to utilize a bottom-up approach in order to create sustainable behavioral change. But what's really interesting is these 5 processes are incredibly sensitive to our internal biochemistry. And our internal biochemistry consists of things like our neuromodulators, which control the activity of our brains, the hormones that regulate our metabolic processes, and the functioning of our vital organs and nervous system. By optimizing these and many other systems, we can begin to alter our biochemistry, which in turn influences our subconscious processing and underpins our state of successful performance. And when you consider the raw, untapped potential that young people possess, this becomes incredibly exciting because through our approach, we have the opportunity to drastically improve the developmental trajectory of a young person who could then go on to contribute amazing things to society. In professional sport, there are many high-performance centers designed to develop top-caliber talent. And they're successful because they identify all the skills and abilities that are required in order to excel, and they help the young athlete to develop and refine these competences. But what if you took this same concept and applied it to young members of society? What if you could take someone with very little previous access to these types of resources or opportunities and put them through a highly sophisticated program designed to equip them with the tools to succeed? And what is incredibly exciting about this idea is the amazing results that have already been achieved using these same principles to create a centre of excellence for developing young people. As mentioned, this bottom-up approach is just one aspect of a holistic and multifaceted program, and it's founded around 3 pillars of creating behavioral change. And they are epigenetics, which relates to how specific behaviors and environmental factors can change the way your genes work; neuroplasticity, which is the ability for the neural networks in your brain to grow and rewire; and finally, critical periods of development that outline a key stage whereby the sensitivity of these 2 processes can be leveraged to create greater individual change. But the reason I'm so passionate about this initiative is because we all share our society. We are all one big team, and part of creating a high-performing team is to help the individual members to realize their full potential. And by doing this, we can help to create a better society for all of us.
Hello, my name is Nigel McLennan. What is central to success in any field? The answer: developing the right mindset, the right psychology. How can young people develop the right psychology, the right mindset, the mindset that will propel them to success? Many pick up the right mindset from their parents, or by modelling themselves on successful people. What does that mean for youth work? How can young people develop their psychology of success, a psychology of achievement that dramatically improves their lives? What techniques work? Well, firstly, the role model, whoever teaches the psychology of achievement, must epitomize it. They must be credible to the young people. Young people are very, very clever. When someone is authentic, when someone is practicing what they preach, young people can pick it up straight away. What tools are used to develop the psychology of achievement in young people? In the program we have developed, young people learn about the chain of self-responsibility, how to take control over every aspect of their lives. They end up with a better understanding of the psychology of achievement than most psychologists. What are the steps towards self-responsibility, and how are those steps taken? Young people throughout history, in fact most people throughout history, live up to the expectations of their mentors, their coaches. When a young person knows that their coach believes in them and has realistically high expectations of them, the young person feels it, knows it, and responds to it. They live up to those expectations. That triggers self-belief in most young people, and when they start to believe, they can succeed. When they expect to achieve with practice and persistence, their lives change for the better. What specifically happens when young people get to the point of self-responsibility? Well, that's the magic moment, the moment that changes everything. From then on, as young people take more and more self-responsibility, their lives get better and better. Relationships improve. Career prospects improve. Health improves. Taking the young person to the point of self-responsibility transforms their lives. How do you take a young person to the point of self-responsibility? Through a combination of theory, practice, rehearsal, and self-reflection, using programs that we have developed over many, many years. How much better could we make society if we gave all young people a good start in life by equipping them with self-responsibility and the soft skills that they need to succeed? What could you achieve if you knew the techniques to take young people to the point of self-responsibility? How many lives could you improve if you had those skills?
We have delivered this style of training to over 15,000 young people and created the Metropolitan Police Force's most successful BME development programme. We've also worked with people with medical challenges from stroke victims through to the hard of hearing. What next? We've been working with Looked After Children. A leading consultancy has estimated we're spending approximately 10 billion annually on this group of young people. However, the outcomes are extremely poor. 40% of the prison population under 21 have been in care. 49% of care leavers are NEETs. 25% of care leavers have experienced homelessness in the first 2 years of independence. And 24% of all adult prisoners have had a period in care. Should we leave these young people on the scrap heap of life? Or should we add some high-quality resources and get them to fly? If we look below the surface, we discover these young people have many of the qualities that are essential for success. They are tough. They are mentally strong. They are flexible. And above all, they are very resilient. These are all very important factors of being successful. How do we harness these? We're going to hear from 3 extraordinary young people, starting with Dan. Dan is in constant pain. He has cerebral palsy. But that's not stopping him wanting to succeed. His mission in life is to be successful so he can support his mum and his younger brother. What more do you need to know about him?
Hello, my name is Nigel McLennan. Hamida, I wonder if you could introduce yourself, please.
Hi, I'm Hamida.
You joined a course that Dermot and I were running some time ago. Can you tell us a little bit about that course?
Yes, I did attend that course, and that course was a 6-week program where we looked at different skills that can help us build ourselves as a young person in the care system. And that involved learning about the presentation skills and interview skills and how we can take responsibility for our actions as well, which was a psychology program that was run by you, Dr. Nigel. Yeah. And yeah, so during the psychology program with you, it was the responsibility therapy,
and
where we looked
self-responsibility. And the chain of self-responsibility.
Yes, the chain of self-responsibility, and how our actions can lead to another event, and how it can have, you know, if whatever we do will can either have a positive consequence or a negative consequence. And
we went into it in a lot more depth, if I remember rightly.
Yes, we did. Yes. We did. Yeah.
What changed as a result of you doing this program?
I think for me, it was more about forming better habits as well. Like with you, when we were doing the course with you, for me, that is the one thing I learned. So forming new habits, and I think having those habits last a long time to almost create my identity as well. Yeah, I think for me, this was the one thing I took from the course with you.
So if you were to recommend whether or not other young people in the same situation as you would or would not be best advised to go on this course, what would you say to them?
Oh, 100% to attend the course. I think one of the things that a lot of the people in the care system have in common is that we never really had a role model per se to kind of guide us. And I feel like courses like this with you and with Dermot, it almost helps us to kind of grow in a way and learn the things that we probably haven't been taught while we were in the care system, or even with our families from before. And I think this is the one thing that would help us kind of go into the next step of our lives.
If I understand rightly, you've now gone on to study at a very prestigious university, is that right?
Yes, I'm at Birkbeck in London.
What subject are you studying?
I'm studying business psychology.
Wonderful. Well, I have absolutely every confidence that you're going to go on and make a wonderful business psychologist. Thank you very much. And may I say that during the program, I'm sure I learned as much from you as you may have done from me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Nigel McLennan. I wonder if I can ask the other participants to introduce themselves.
Hi, my name is Daniel.
Hello, Daniel. And Dermot?
Hello, I'm Dermot O'Brien from the Adab Trust.
Thanks very much. Daniel, some time ago, I believe you attended a training program that was run by Dermot and myself. Is that right?
Yep.
Tell me, what did you learn on that program?
Well, I learned skills about how to turn negative into positive, and how to basically I think it was basically ideology of the mind, really, about how if we think positive and then the outcome is like how to basically turn negative into a positive.
To turn adversity into success.
Yeah, adversity into success. That's it.
So how did you implement that after the course? What changes did it make in your life once you had this knowledge about how to manage your mind in order to maximize your chances of success?
Well, I found that after using that a few times, I used it a few ways in, well, what was it? I was helping, like, I know this is a bit of a weird story, but I was helping my brother at one point, my little brother. He had just started, schooling from home. He just started schooling from home, and he at first wasn't liking it. I don't think at first. He got used to it eventually. He just had to go back today. A bit upset about that. And he was struggling at first with online learning. I don't think he really enjoyed it. And I was basically sort of because my laptop was a bit slow, and I was basically sort of explaining to him that, look, I explained to him that if you think negative, you're gonna end up not being. If you're not, I basically explained to him. I can't remember everything about like the whole thing. But I basically explained to him what we learned, and told him that if you think negative, the outcome's gonna be negative. And yeah, eventually he found that he was getting up earlier, logging in earlier instead of logging in 5 minutes before. Yeah.
What would you recommend in terms of this program? If you were to say to some young people who might be watching this video, they should or shouldn't come along to this program?
Personally, I would definitely recommend that people come along to this program, because I think the training we learned as a whole, I mean, we learned loads of different things. We learned teamwork skills, like we learned how to build a tower with, it was toothpicks and gummy sweets, and the team that had the best tower won. And oh my goodness, it was chaos, but it was fun, and it was a good way of teaching people teamwork, because we all had to work together in our teams to learn the best strategy to get this tower to stand and get the tallest tower. And then I think that the training that was provided as a whole has, I think I've taken stuff away from it that I will use for the rest of my life. I feel like before this, I didn't have a lot of knowledge about what we learned. I mean, we learned about like leadership skills. We went to corporate offices and saw how like corporate businesses, how their model works, and we got interview tips from employers and stuff. And I really enjoyed that. I thought that the interview tips we got from the employers, and like just going and seeing a corporate workplace, like I really thought it was interesting. And yeah.
Daniel, it sounds as though you had a great time. Thank you very much for sharing your experiences with everybody who's watching. Daniel,
Yep.
Take care. Bye.
Yeah, bye.
Hello, my name is Nigel McLennan, and with me today is
Rochelle James.
Hello, Rochelle. Rochelle, I wonder if you could tell us a little bit about your journey to date.
So I am currently working as an employment advisor, soon to be business lead for an ecosystem company who's looking at community ecosystems specifically, but also worked as a chef for the Gordon Ramsay Group and for D&D London.
So you've had quite a success journey. But when you started out on that journey, what was your view of success then?
I saw it as an essential part of being able to have a positive livelihood, which was something that I really wanted to attain for myself and for my family, and the future people that I would have relationships with as well.
There was a turning point in your life that transformed everything. What was that turning point?
Definitely working within the Gordon Ramsay group. I had the privilege of being personally mentored by Christina Wilson, who saw a lot of skill in me and pushed me to do more within the group, and to really celebrate my cooking ability, which led me to make cakes and host events for Gordon Ramsay.
What would you say if you were to advise a young person? You've achieved a remarkable amount in a very short period of time. What would you advise a young person who was trying to create their own success journey? What would you advise them to do mentally? I mean,
and I think definitely it's all about the mindset. So I encourage young people to reach out for help, to individuals who can provide mentoring and support, because life is difficult, and I think sometimes we don't necessarily embrace the reality of that. So to get the support and to look at how they're thinking and how they're approaching different things, and where direct support may not be available, to definitely look at reading, because naturally that opens the mind, but more so it can always provide great tools for us to be able to expand our ways of thinking and to really process how we approach the world.
How much would you say the success you've had so far, and I'm sure there's a lot more to come, how much would you say the success you've had so far is to do with the way you manage your mind?
I think it all is. I've definitely had a very difficult journey for me personally, and everybody, difficulties are assessed differently. But I think that if I wasn't able to reframe my shape of mind and to be able to push myself, I definitely wouldn't have been in the opportunities that I've received, and I definitely would not be still going to try and achieve more. Because some people would think, you get to this point and that's enough, but I definitely want to continue growing and put myself in a better position to be able to support young people and, just general communities.
It sounds to me as though you take an extraordinary level of self-responsibility. How important do you think self-responsibility is in the success of a young person?
I think that, again, it's a crucial skill to have. And it's crucial to being able to work in the working world effectively, and to be able to live your daily life, because responsibility allows us to program ourselves into routine and structure, which is also essential for managing positive and negative habits, and that discipline allows us to kind of graft our skill set. So I think it's that kind of idea of having responsibility, owning, where you are in life and what you're doing with yourself, is a huge thing.
Completely agreed, Rochelle. Thank you so much for sharing with us your insights. I really appreciate that. Take care. Bye-bye.
Yeah, bye.
We are going to create the Adab Leadership Centre. This will be a 3-month residential course for transition care leavers using the absolute best of everything we've discovered so far. Basic life skills: how to cook, how to look after yourself. Conflict resolution with the police. Communication skills and public speaking. The chain of self-responsibility and how to achieve success. Leadership skills. Physical health and nutrition. Help them develop the power of assistance applied to a goal. The best lessons from military teamwork. And teamwork and communication skills from emergency medicine. We're going to help them develop social capital through hobbies. We're going to work in partnership with employers, not only employability skills, but careers exposure. Help them see what all the opportunities really are. To achieve our goal of creating a fantastic leadership centre to support these young people, we're going to need 3 things. We're going to need contacts with business to help us provide the careers advice and the employability skills. We're going to need introductions to heads of care services so we can work in partnership to put on a fantastic service. And thirdly, we need introductions to investment angels who will help us get started.